It began as a quiet evening on Earth, one of those rare moments when humanity was still and peaceful, unaware that this peace would soon be shattered by an event unlike anything the world had ever experienced. The world had been preparing for the unknown. Scientists, astronomers, and thinkers all over the planet had been gazing toward the stars, hoping for contact. It was something that had been speculated for centuries. Was Earth alone in the vast expanse of space? Or was there something, someone, else out there? No one could say for sure, but it was the greatest question humanity had ever faced. Then, it happened. The signal arrived, seemingly from nowhere. It wasn't like anything that had ever been detected before, and at first, no one knew exactly what to make of it. The message wasn't a simple string of numbers or a static burst of electromagnetic waves that could easily be dismissed. It was deliberate. The message was composed, thought out, and, above all, clear. It wasn't just a random noise, it had meaning. When the message was first decoded, it was almost impossible to believe. The words that appeared were simple but chilling: aliens received humanity's only warning, come if you dare. The first reaction on Earth was a mixture of awe, confusion, and fear. Who had sent the message? What did it mean? And why would anyone, or anything, send such a challenge? Scientists and governments scrambled to verify the message, looking for any sign that it could be a hoax or a misunderstanding. They pored over the data, analyzing every bit of the signal, but there was no error. The message was real. It was from an intelligence beyond Earth, and it was directed at humanity specifically. The next few days were filled with frantic discussions. Was this a threat? A test? Or a declaration of war? As governments tried to interpret the message, the rest of the world had their own reactions. Some saw it as an invitation to explore the unknown, while others feared that the aliens might already know humanity's weaknesses, waiting for the perfect time to strike. This fear of the unknown spread like wildfire, causing unrest in cities, even as curiosity pushed many to seek answers. Across the globe, many began to question their own humanity. What had the message meant by saying it was humanity's only warning? And why now? Why had the aliens chosen to reach out in this way, instead of just making their presence known or attacking? People began to question their place in the universe, with many seeing this as either humanity's greatest opportunity or its greatest challenge. As the world tried to comprehend the enormity of the situation, the message began to sink in. It was a warning, and this warning was not just a message to be ignored. It was a challenge. Earth was being invited, or perhaps dared, to meet whoever, or whatever, had sent it. The aliens had received humanity's warning, and now they were responding. Yet, this invitation wasn't as simple as it seemed. The phrase, "Come if you dare," carried weight, like a test that no one could avoid. Earth wasn't just being asked to meet with extraterrestrial beings. It was being dared to confront them. Humanity, for all its history of exploration and achievement, now had to decide whether it would take this challenge or retreat into its shell. The message had caused a stir among world leaders, and as they gathered to discuss what to do next, the pressure grew. Would humanity accept the invitation to come and meet the aliens? Could the people of Earth set aside their differences, their fears, and their doubts to face whatever awaited them beyond the stars? Or would they cower in fear and refuse to respond? One of the first things that the leaders of Earth began to debate was how to respond. There were some who argued for immediate action, advocating for the exploration of the stars and the pursuit of whatever lay beyond. They argued that humanity had long sought to understand the universe, and this was the chance to do just that. A brave few even suggested that this could be the moment humanity had waited for to establish its place in the cosmos. On the other hand, there were those who were far more cautious. They urged restraint, fearing that responding to the message could put Earth at risk. What if the aliens were hostile? What if they had advanced technology that far surpassed humanity's own, capable of wiping out entire civilizations in an instant? Others pointed out that the tone of the message was not entirely welcoming. The words, "Come if you dare," seemed to suggest something more ominous, like a trap set to lure humanity into a dangerous situation. In this climate of uncertainty, some decided to act independently. A group of scientists and engineers began working together, crafting a response, a spacecraft that would travel to the stars, guided by the hope that humanity could prove its worth to whoever had sent the message. Their mission would be one of discovery, but it was not without risks. The journey into the unknown carried a weight no one could fully grasp. Meanwhile, ordinary people around the world were left with the question, should humanity dare to reach out, or should it remain hidden, protecting itself from the dangers that might lie in wait? It was a question that divided families, communities, and nations. Some celebrated the chance for humanity to rise above its petty conflicts and face a new era of exploration. Others held their breath, wondering if this would be the end of everything they knew. As days turned into weeks, the message from the stars continued to echo across the world. Humanity was caught in a whirlwind of emotion, fear, excitement, curiosity, and doubt. There was no turning back. The challenge had been issued, and now the world had to decide whether to accept it or ignore it. The moment of truth was approaching. Would humanity answer the call? Or would they cower from the unknown, hiding in the safety of their own world? The decision would not come easy, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. The message, simple yet powerful, had set the stage for something far greater than anyone could predict. It was a message that could change the course of history, and no one knew what the future would hold. As the world continued to digest the alien message, a growing sense of urgency began to take hold. Governments, scientists, and ordinary people were no longer simply asking, "What if?" They were asking, "What now?" Every nation had its own approach to the situation. Some leaders called for an immediate, unified response, urging humanity to stand together in the face of the unknown. They argued that this was Earth's moment, a chance to prove itself as a species worthy of joining the broader galactic community. In contrast, others took a more cautious approach. Global security agencies were on high alert, with military leaders advising caution. The tone of the alien message, "Come if you dare," was unsettling. What if the aliens were not peaceful explorers but conquerors or invaders waiting to assess Earth's vulnerabilities? Some feared that responding to the message would bring about humanity's downfall, believing it would be better to hide, to stay under the radar, and avoid drawing attention from beings that might possess technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. Public reaction reflected this division. On one side were those who saw the message as a sign of hope, a challenge to grow and evolve as a species. These individuals viewed the alien invitation as a call to arms, not a physical battle, but a battle to prove humanity's worthiness to be part of something much larger than itself. They envisioned a future where Earth was no longer confined to its small corner of the universe, but instead would stand as an equal among other civilizations in the galaxy. On the other hand, there were those who believed that humanity should not rush into the unknown. They raised concerns about Earth's readiness for such an encounter. Humanity, they argued, was still divided, plagued by wars, inequalities, and environmental crises. What if the aliens didn't see these flaws as redeemable? What if they viewed humanity's shortcomings as a sign of weakness? The fear was palpable. What if the aliens saw no value in Earth and decided to wipe it out before humanity even had a chance to make its case? Amid the growing tension, the world's leaders decided that a decision needed to be made. They couldn't afford to remain paralyzed by fear. So, a global summit was called, and representatives from every nation would meet in one place to make the final call. For the first time in history, the future of Earth was not in the hands of any single country but in the hands of all of humanity. The summit was a spectacle. News outlets from every corner of the globe broadcasted the event live, and millions watched as delegates from various countries gathered in a large conference hall. The stakes were higher than ever, and the world held its breath as each representative took turns speaking their piece. One leader after another gave their views, but it quickly became clear that no consensus was emerging. Some argued for an immediate response, proposing that humanity should send a signal back, announcing its intention to meet the aliens in person. They believed this would show strength and unity, proving that humanity was ready to take its place in the universe. Others, however, pleaded for caution. They suggested that Earth needed more time to prepare, to study the signal further, and to ensure that humanity had the means to protect itself. Their concern was valid. What if the aliens had been watching Earth for centuries, quietly assessing its progress? What if they had already seen the worst of humanity's conflicts, war, and environmental destruction? The debate grew heated. Tensions ran high, as each side grew more entrenched in their views. It was clear that no one was going to back down easily. As the hours passed, the weight of the decision bore down on everyone in the room. The eyes of the world were upon them, and everyone knew that whatever was decided would have profound consequences. In the end, a decision was reached, not one that everyone agreed with, but one that would move the situation forward. The world would send a response to the aliens. But it wouldn't be a direct acceptance. Instead, humanity would issue a countermessage, seeking clarification. "What is your purpose?" the message would ask. "What do you want from us?" It was a cautious step, one that would buy humanity time to consider the full implications of what was at stake. The decision was made, and the world held its collective breath. Would the aliens respond to this new message? Would they see Earth's hesitation as weakness, or would they respect humanity's cautious approach? The outcome of this response would shape the future of the planet and determine whether the message was an invitation or a prelude to something far darker. After the world's leaders agreed to send a countermessage to the aliens, the task of crafting it was placed in the hands of a select group of diplomats, scientists, and communication experts. They worked tirelessly, knowing that every word would carry immense weight. The message had to be clear, diplomatic, yet firm enough to reflect humanity's resolve. It was decided that the response would be simple yet profound. The question, "What is your purpose?" was at the heart of the message, but it also conveyed humanity's hopes and fears. It was a plea for understanding, a desire to know the aliens' intentions, and a call for dialogue rather than confrontation. The team of experts debated the tone, carefully considering how best to balance curiosity and caution. Too much aggression could provoke an unwanted reaction, but too much fear could signal weakness. Finally, after much deliberation, the message was sent into the void of space, hoping it would reach the distant beings who had first reached out to Earth. The world held its breath once more as the message was transmitted, knowing that humanity's fate might now lie in the hands of those beyond the stars. Days turned into weeks, and still, there was no reply. People around the world began to grow anxious. The uncertainty was unbearable. Had the aliens decided that humanity was not worth responding to? Had they already made their judgment about Earth? The fears of many seemed to be growing. If the aliens didn't respond, would it mean they saw no value in humanity? Or worse, would they view the delay in communication as a sign of aggression or hesitation? During this time, anxiety grew not only on the global stage but also among individuals. Citizens of Earth began to worry, questioning whether they were now at the mercy of an unknown and possibly hostile force. Governments assured the public that they were doing everything they could to ensure humanity's safety, but the longer the silence continued, the more people began to fear the worst. It seemed as if the entire planet was holding its breath, waiting for the moment when the next message would come, or when it wouldn't. Then, just as the tension seemed unbearable, the response came. It wasn't a long message. In fact, it was incredibly brief: "We do not seek conflict. We seek understanding. Come, if you choose, and you will learn what awaits." The message was both a relief and a challenge. It confirmed that the aliens were not looking for war, but it also left a heavy question hanging in the air: what did understanding mean? What awaited humanity on this meeting, should they choose to go? The briefness of the message did nothing to calm the fears of those who were already anxious. Instead, it left them with more questions than answers. For many, the feeling was mixed. There was a sense of relief that the aliens did not seem immediately hostile, but there was also uncertainty. Understanding could mean many things, and there was no telling whether this understanding would lead to cooperation or to something far more dangerous. The world's leaders were once again thrust into urgent discussions. Some felt the message was a sign that humanity should act swiftly and boldly, while others remained cautious, urging restraint. The clock was ticking. Humanity had to decide whether to move forward, but with each passing day, the risks of an unknown future seemed to grow. As the world continued to grapple with the implications of the alien response, the public's curiosity reached a fever pitch. Millions of people had questions, anxieties, and hopes for what the future might hold. Would humanity choose to answer the call and venture into the unknown? Or would the fear of what could happen hold them back? Whatever decision was made, it was clear that the next steps would shape the future of the planet and possibly determine humanity's place in the universe for generations to come. After days of intense debate, humanity made its decision. Despite the risks and uncertainties, Earth would respond to the alien invitation. There was no turning back. The world would send a representative, a spacecraft that would travel to the unknown. It wasn't just a message of curiosity, it was a symbol of humanity's resolve to step beyond the confines of its home planet, to explore and understand what lay beyond. The mission would be humanity's first true voyage beyond the stars, and it was not a task that could be taken lightly. A team of experts, including scientists, engineers, diplomats, and military personnel, was assembled. Each member was selected for their expertise, but also for their ability to think critically in the face of an uncertain future. The spacecraft, designed for long-duration travel, would be equipped with advanced technology and communication tools. Yet, despite all the advancements, no one could say for sure what they would encounter once they reached the source of the alien message. In the months leading up to the launch, the world rallied behind the mission. Public interest was overwhelming. People everywhere followed every development, watching as the spacecraft was built, tested, and prepared for its journey. National pride swelled as Earth's first true exploration into the unknown neared. There were no guarantees, and the risks were clear, but the message was undeniable: humanity was willing to take that step, to reach beyond its boundaries, and to dare the unknown. As launch day arrived, a quiet tension gripped the globe. People from every corner of the Earth, no matter their nationality or background, were united in one common purpose. All eyes turned to the spacecraft as it stood on the launch pad, poised to depart on its historic journey. News channels broadcasted the event live, and families huddled together to watch the countdown. The launch was flawless. The spacecraft roared to life, lifting off the ground and into the heavens, as the world watched in awe. As it ascended, a sense of hope filled the hearts of many. This was humanity's chance to make its mark in the vast expanse of the universe. This was Earth's moment to step into a new chapter of existence. The journey itself would take years. The spacecraft was built to travel at unprecedented speeds, yet even with all the advancements of modern science, the distance to the alien source would still take time to cover. For those aboard, the mission would be one of patience, perseverance, and discovery. There were no guarantees, but there was hope, a hope that, somehow, the meeting with the aliens would bring answers to the questions that had haunted humanity for centuries. As the spacecraft drifted further from Earth, it left behind a planet full of anticipation and uncertainty. The crew aboard the ship knew they were taking a monumental step, not just for themselves, but for all of humanity. They were the first to venture into the unknown, the first to cross the boundary between Earth and the stars. They carried with them the hopes and dreams of billions, and they understood the gravity of their mission. Back on Earth, life continued as normal. But now, there was an added sense of connection among people. The idea of being a part of something larger than oneself had taken root. No longer were humans confined to their petty differences. The knowledge that they were part of a greater adventure brought a sense of unity and purpose. Regardless of political tensions, social divides, or economic struggles, humanity was now collectively bound by one common goal: to understand what lay beyond the stars. And so, as the spacecraft journeyed deeper into space, the questions loomed larger than ever. What would the crew find when they reached their destination? Would they discover that the aliens were truly peaceful, as their message had suggested? Or would they be faced with something far more terrifying, a force beyond their ability to comprehend? In the silence of space, as Earth became a distant memory, the answers seemed as far away as the stars themselves. But the crew pressed on, determined to uncover the truth, no matter what it was. Years had passed since humanity made its bold decision to respond to the alien message. The spacecraft, now light years away from Earth, had entered the final phase of its journey. The crew had grown accustomed to the long stretches of silence and the isolation of space. They had become a close-knit team, all bound together by the same sense of purpose and the shared weight of their mission. Their lives were measured in days, then months, and then years. Time, once a steady force on Earth, seemed to slip away in the vastness of the cosmos. Your journey has only just begun. The message was received in stunned silence. The crew exchanged glances, each of them trying to process what they had just heard. The invitation had been extended, but this new message carried something more, an implicit challenge. The aliens were not just welcoming humanity, they were testing them. This was the threshold. What lay beyond was a mystery. There were no guarantees, no assurances. The aliens had been watching, waiting for this moment. But what they had in store for humanity was still unclear. The ship began its descent toward the structure, its crew preparing for what they had hoped and feared for all these years. This was no longer just a scientific expedition. It was a moment of reckoning. Humanity was on the verge of becoming part of something far larger than itself. But whether that something was a new chapter of peace and cooperation, or the beginning of a far more dangerous reality, no one could say. As the ship drew closer to the surface of the structure, the crew braced themselves. There was no turning back now. The encounter had begun, and with it, the future of Earth rested on the shoulders of these few brave souls. As the spacecraft made its final approach toward the alien structure, the crew couldn't shake the overwhelming feeling that this was a moment that would define the future of humanity. The sheer scale of the structure, stretching across the void of space, had an almost otherworldly presence. It was as though the structure itself was alive, watching them, waiting for them to cross the threshold. The crew's hearts raced as they prepared for what would be the most crucial moment of their journey. The ship slowly docked at one of the numerous entry points on the alien structure. They had no way of knowing what awaited them on the other side, whether they would meet beings of unimaginable wisdom, or face dangers that humanity could not comprehend. The air inside the structure was unlike anything they had encountered before. The atmosphere was breathable, but the environment felt strangely neutral, as though it existed in a state of suspended balance. The walls seemed to shimmer, shifting subtly as the crew stepped out of the spacecraft and into the heart of the alien domain. There were no visible signs of life at first, just vast chambers filled with soft light and the hum of unknown technology. After what felt like hours, the crew reached a central hall, its enormous expanse dwarfing anything they had seen on Earth. In the center of the hall, there was an object, an alien device, gleaming with energy. It pulsed softly, as though it was alive, waiting to make contact. The crew stood in awe, each person trying to understand what they were seeing. It was a thing of both beauty and terror, its purpose beyond their ability to grasp. Then, the voice came again. "You are here. Welcome, travelers. You have crossed the threshold. But understand this, the journey you have begun is one of choice. You are the first to be given this opportunity." The voice was calm, distant, but filled with a power that made it clear that it was not just any alien being speaking to them. It was the intelligence behind the entire structure, the entity that had lured humanity here. The message we sent was not simply an invitation. It was a test. Your species was not chosen by accident. You have been watched for millennia, observed by countless civilizations. We knew your potential, your flaws, your conflicts. And yet, you were chosen, because you have reached a point where you can choose your own path. Will you rise beyond the divisions that have plagued you? Will you accept your place in the larger cosmic order? The crew members exchanged nervous glances, their minds racing with the implications of what they were hearing. They were not just visitors, they were being offered something. The aliens, it seemed, had been waiting for humanity to reach a certain level of maturity, to prove that they could overcome their internal conflicts and unify as one species. The voice continued. We offer you knowledge. We offer you a place among us. But there is a price. Your world, as it stands, is fractured. You must choose whether to work together or remain divided. The threshold you have crossed is only the beginning. If you accept what we offer, you must be ready to meet the challenges ahead, challenges that will test the very core of what it means to be human. The crew, though still in awe, realized the magnitude of the moment. This was no longer just about exploring the stars. It was a chance for humanity to transcend its own limitations, to step beyond the petty divisions that had long hindered progress. But the price, as the voice had said, was high. Unity was no simple task, especially after centuries of conflict, inequality, and division. As the crew members stood in the alien hall, the weight of their decision became clear. This was no mere encounter. It was a turning point. Humanity was being offered an opportunity to prove that it was ready for something greater than itself, to prove that it could move beyond the old ways, the old conflicts, and embrace a new future. But the challenge was immense. The future of Earth, the future of all humanity, would be shaped by the decision made here, on this alien world. Would they be able to rise to the occasion, or would they falter, trapped by the same divisions that had held them back for so long? The crew exchanged one last look, silently acknowledging the gravity of what was at stake. Whatever the outcome, their journey had already changed the course of history. Now, they faced the ultimate question: could humanity choose to unite and take its place among the stars, or would it remain shackled to its past, forever separated from the cosmic community? The aliens awaited their answer, and in that moment, the fate of humanity hung in the balance. The door to the future was open, but only the crew could decide whether they, and the rest of humanity, would walk through it.